Hey everyone, and welcome to WDIM Plus, where today I'm going to be explaining the upcoming martial arts film set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This movie, like almost every other movie and series, has been delayed because of the COVID crisis, but still not a lot was known about it before the first teaser was released. What was made obvious was that while the MCU was creating a story based on the comic book character of the same name, they were also updating a lot of aspects of the character's history. The character debuted during the karate exploitation era of the 1970s under the moniker The Master of Kung Fu, and was based around the stories of another character named Fu Manchu, who was written in as his father, after Marvel purchased the rights of the villain from another publisher. Because of this, the MCU version of the character will be much different, with many characters from his comic book past being combined or renamed. Here I will break down the main characters, the storyline, and setting, as well as which comic books I think the movie is taking from, which if I am correct ties right into the long-standing theory I have shared in a couple videos about where I think the MCU multiverse is headed. If this is your first time here, my name is Eric and I actually run two YouTube channels, this being my new one, so be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to check out my explanations of films and series. Also, if you do enjoy this video, you can help support this channel a lot by simply hitting that like button, and if you want to, you can do your best karate sound when you do it. Alright, so let's get into Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. As I mentioned, the character's backstory has been changed considerably for the movie, but I think the writers just combined various different aspects of the character's past. In this movie, his father will not be Fu Manchu, but instead be a man named Wenwu, who is also known as the character the Mandarin. If that name sounds familiar, it is because the character the Mandarin was featured in the third Iron Man movie, but then revealed to have been an actor playing the role so that the real villain could get away with his diabolical plot. In the home release version of the movie Thor: The Dark World, it was revealed in a short that the actual Mandarin had broken the actor out of jail so that he could meet him, affirming with the audience that this individual was not the actual character, and said character did exist in this universe. On a personal note, I really hope they reference this in the new movie, and there's a scene in the trailer that may allude to this that I will get to in a bit. The Wenwu character will be Shang-Chi's father, and we will see him running the actual Ten Rings organization, which is a Chinese criminal empire that goes back for hundreds of years. It is not confirmed, but is believed that Wenwu may be hundreds of years old himself, and we get a few scenes in the teaser of him fighting in what looks like a very ancient battle. This may be one of the many ways they combine the characters from the comics, as Fu Manchu had the power of immortality, but the Mandarin did not have any abilities without the power of the actual Ten Rings. Again, I'm guessing that this will be changed for the film, but in the comics, the Ten Rings were worn on the fingers of the Mandarin and each held a specific power. These included being able to create energy blasts, rearranging matter, blasting fire, controlling gravity, shooting lightning, controlling other people's minds, absorbing the surrounding light, controlling the temperature down to sub-zero levels, creating a concussive force, and allowing him to move at super speed. He got so powerful that at a certain point he didn't even have to wear them for them to work, and they would return to him if he lost them in battle. From the teaser, we do see him perhaps use a few of these abilities, but I doubt they will make him as omnipowered as someone with the powers akin to the Infinity Gauntlet. This movie also looks to have moved the placement of the rings from his hands to his forearms, which I think looks cooler, as we don't need him looking like Rick James. In the comics, the Mandarin is also a scientific genius, so I'm guessing that this will come into play, and that he will somehow use some mystical power and create the Ten Rings to use for himself. Each had their own color in the comics, and in the film each ring seems to light up in the same color, so the coloring may be which power Wenwu is accessing at the time. Again, if they do go with the exact nature of the rings as it was in the comics, there will be a lot of comparisons to the Infinity Gauntlet, so like they have done with most of the characters, I would not be surprised if the rings were further updated as well, and perhaps their power is tied to science as well as an Infinity Stone. Now the film is reported to take place over many years, as we see Wenwu before his rise to power, and with his son training him for 10 years, then letting him leave for 10 years. That last 10-year period is important because not only did the blip happen during that time, but it is also around the same time that we first saw a version of the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. It is probably just a coincidence, but the movie is rumored to begin with Shang-Chi leaving his father because he refuses to carry out an assassination, and it would be quite a bit of fan service if the man that he was sent to kill was the false version of his father. It is possible that the film may get Sir Ben Kingsley back to reprise the character, but Marvel has also not been shy of recasting a role if they cannot get the big name actor back to play it, as they did with the Red Skull in Endgame. But I would really like to know in the comments, would you like to see Ben Kingsley's character referenced in this movie, or do you not much care? I'm also really interested in seeing how the blip affected the arc in this film, as in Endgame, we did see Hawkeye in Tokyo dispatching some Texas justice, and while it's not said outright that he is fighting the Ten Rings there, they would have to be one of the larger criminal organizations in the area. Assuming that Shang-Chi did not get blipped, we should see how he lived his life during this time, which looks like he is a car valet as well as a prize fighter. is during that time he meets and befriends Katie, the role played by comedian Awkwafina. There's one scene in the teaser in which he is fighting in a fight club, and I've heard a lot of people online saying that there's a nod to Captain America in this scene, but I think that this is actually a sign that this is a 10 Rings club, as we saw this symbol as a tattoo in the MCU short about the Mandarin. The woman that he is fighting is actually his estranged sister, Ziling, who looks to be working for her father and probably not too happy that Shang-Chi gets to be Tommy Boy and run his father's business while she has put in the work over these years. While her character does not exist in the comics, as far as I can remember, I believe that at least part of her character comes from the character Midnight Sun from the comics, who they may not have used completely in this movie because of his likeness to the Eric Killmonger character from Black Panther. But she is basically your younger sibling who grows up to resent everyone that ignores her. This version of his sister is probably his half-sister, which would also explain why he's not aware of her if she was not raised by their father. I believe that she is working with the 10 Rings with the intent on proving to her father that she is a better and more ruthless leader, and we see her fight her brother in a scene trying to prove just that. Another member of the organization that will be in the film is the character Razor Fist, who is a mercenary that has had his hand modified so it can be a powered sword. His hand is severed by a member of the Marvel Netflix universe, Colleen Wing, so it stands to reason that this also may be updated in the movie, since it has yet to be confirmed those series will ever be referenced. One more character appearing as part of the organization is one simply known as Death Dealer, who I believe is the same character throughout the film, as we see them train a young Shang-Chi and then see them fighting when Shang-Chi is fully grown. The identity of the actor playing this role is not yet known, but I'm going to guess that this is Michelle Yeoh. Before you say anything about her being 58 years old, you should watch her on Star Trek Discovery, because she may be 50 but she can kick and stretch and kick. If this is a character that helped raise Shang-Chi, they would have to be around 50 or older at this time, and the character's name in the cast is Zhang Nan, which is a part of China and maybe just a placeholder. Another really interesting aspect of this film is that we will see the ancient history of these characters, and it looks like a battle with Wenwu and the 10 Rings against another clan. They could be attacking Kung Lung, which in the comics does have ties to the character the Iron Fist and the history of the Mandarin and Shang-Chi, but again, because this setting and character have yet to be confirmed to exist in the same universe, they might not be referenced here. But we do see a battle that includes giant lions and hawks, I believe, and also a one-on-one battle in the past with Wenwu and the character Zhang Li. I think in all these scenes in the trailer, you can notice the use of bright coloring in this movie, and I love the choice because it reminds me of the setting of the movie Big Trouble in Little China, which stands as one of the most entertaining and interesting martial arts films of all time for me. Too often fighting movies are placed in dark settings to mask badly choreographed fight scenes, but you're not seeing any of that in this teaser. Another character which matches this aesthetic is that of Fin Fang Foom, who is a dragon-like creature from another planet that has long-standing ties to the character, whose involvement in the film was leaked by a toy, which shows that its name has been changed to the Great Protector. I wonder if the character and its alien lineage will have ties to the 10 Rings technology, and that may be what it is protecting. But either way, I can't wait to see a kaiju in the Marvel Universe. So who is Shang-Chi? Well, as I said in the comics, he is a son of the megalomaniac Fu Manchu, and a lot of his early history is him learning of how evil his father really is and then rebelling against him and his organization. An interesting aspect of the character's backstory is that because the Fu Manchu character was created by another publisher, Marvel purchased and then lost the rights to him and basically all the other supporting characters of Shang-Chi, which changed his backstory considerably. But in the film, he is said to have been living estranged from his father and his organization, but is drawn back in. There's a popular storyline from the comics of Shang-Chi fighting various members of Fu Manchu's organization that each have different abilities, similar to a Mortal Kombat style tournament, and we could see some of that in this film. In the comics, he does not have any superhuman abilities, but he is known as the best hand-to-hand fighter in the Marvel Universe, and has an innate ability to pinpoint his enemies' weaknesses in battle. At various times, he was briefly given a few abilities, like being able to duplicate himself and being able to become intangible like Kitty Pryde from the X-Men, but at least from the teaser, he does not seem to have any abilities besides being a great fighter. Also in the comics, he is trained by various different fighting specialists for almost 20 years and believes his father's purpose to be righteous until learning otherwise on a mission. Again, I'm sure various aspects of this will be applied to the character in the film. Speaking of the comics, I believe there's one storyline concerning this character that also references the multiverse that may influence this film's story, and that is the 2015 series Secret Wars. In it, we get to see different versions of the Marvel Comics multiverse, and in one, Shang-Chi is the son of the Mandarin and is fighting against him and his various minions in a tournament. This storyline also incorporates mutants and the land of Kung Lun, the training ground of the Iron Fist, as well as featuring that character heavily. I don't think that we'll see Danny Rand, but I do think we at least get a nod to the ancient setting, perhaps in the large battle scene. Well, that was my breakdown of the movie Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. So let me know in the comments, what do you think of this new film, and if you have any other questions. Thank you for clicking on this video and watching until the end. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?